Thank you everyone for coming. Thanks everyone for coming today. Today, our host for this call is Stephen Robert Carlson. So Stephen is the author of Working from the Heart, which is an online course that teaches the path of the heart. He has been practicing the Sedona Method for 20 years and facilitating others professionally for 4 years. Stephen also helps to lead the free online releasing community at releasing.online. So take it away, Stephen.
Thank you, Tegan, for that terrific introduction. So, just want to say hi to Kim, who just joined as well. If anybody would like any support or to ask a question or to share a gain, just go ahead and unmute yourself and speak up, or if you wish, you can use the hand-raising feature and raise your hand. All right, Jacob, go for it.
Yeah, I just on a just kind of practical issue right now is just to do a lot of homework today, kind of write some papers, and even though I'm just honestly feeling nervous about it. It kind of feels like it's looming over me, and I go through this thing where it looms, and then I think I'm not gonna feel good till this is done. And then it gets done and I'm like, whew, okay, sweet, now I can enjoy myself. But then, there's just the next wave that comes of things to do. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so gonna be in pain until this is done. And it'd be nice to just kind of enjoy the whole thing.
Okay. Well, let's play with that. Well, so notice that you already see a pattern here. It's no longer something that simply happens. It's something that you're now aware of. And still, I wonder, do you have the sense? Isn't this just a story?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, well, since it's here, can you just allow it to feel as real as it does? And just call up the memory of it. Notice what you feel in the gut, in the body, what comes up. Notice how it unfolds in the mind, the words, the images, sounds, thoughts, maybe beliefs.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's discomfort, but it's also feels like it's unfolding.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, let's get just a bit more curious. Notice what I labeled as discomfort. Can you focus on that?
Yeah.
So might that be a sensation in the body we're talking about? Or is that also thoughts?
Yeah, it most obviously is just the thought of not being good enough.
So can you welcome that thought and allow it to be here just as best you can?
Yep. Yeah.
Any resistance, any not wanting to think that, push it away.
Yep, there's a wanting to push it away and also wanting to keep it here.
Mm-hmm. So notice how that thought and then the resistance create a battle, a struggle. And from that struggle emerges the sense of self. Do you have a sense of that? Me against the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you open yourself to that and just allow that, since that's what's here?
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't really feel like I can.
That's honesty. Thank you. All right, then. So let's just be with that not being able to and let that be okay as well. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. But let's dig a little deeper. Can you find that sense of the individual? I mean, without looking at the body or memories, where is the person that feels that way?
I don't know. It's just an idea, and it just feels like an idea.
Huh. So is that idea you, or are you simply aware of an idea?
Both. Feels like both.
Honesty. Very good. Okay. So can you just allow all to be as it is as best you can just for now? And just rest in that as best you can.
Yeah.
And what if all of this were simply love? Could that be?
No.
Okay, then. So just focus on the no, focus on what's here, the resistance, and let that be as powerful as it wants to be. Could you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But wasn't there also a known answer as well, perhaps?
What do you mean? Could you say that again?
So when there's a no, and I invite you to accept that, the no often comes in chains. Meaning, if it's not evident, let's just skip that, let that pass. So
Okay.
in fact, I'll just ask you, what's here right now? Let's just go back.
Definitely some more comfort, like more comfort in the discomfort.
Okay. So underlying all of this, let's just see, is there a sense that you have to be the one who does things? You have to do it?
Yeah.
Right. So just for now, can you welcome that sense of you, the doer? You have to push, you have to get it done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does that show up in the body as well?
Yep.
Could you focus on what's happening in the body and make that your exclusive focus as best you can? Zoom into it.
Yeah.
And could you zoom in even just one more step further?
Yeah.
And one more time.
Yeah.
So Can you notice also the spaciousness in which this occurs? The openness, emptiness, the stillness, the peace, the space.
Yeah.
So look back into the body and check, is it the same? Has it shifted or is it still shifting?
Yeah, it's definitely shifted.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What if you could just turn the whole thing over to beingness, love, the power that knows the way, whatever term you prefer? If you
Yeah,
could, would you?
I would.
When?
Yeah. Now.
Nice. So what's here now? How does that feel?
There's just this lingering, like not wanting to take up space.
All right. Okay. So welcome that as best you can.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to take up just a little bit of space while you're doing it.
Okay.
See if you can. Notice also that sense of the you taking up space.
Yeah.
So check, where's the border between you and infinity? Can you find it?
No.
So what if that were just an idea?
Yeah, I'd like that.
Nice. All right. So can you just allow yourself to rest and notice ideas, including that one, sensations, thoughts?
Yeah, that's really sweet. It's really good.
Well, so what if that sweetness were love? Is that possible?
Yeah.
And what if it were love, that love that fuels all activities? What if?
Yeah. It'd be easier to do them.
Okay. So you might remember we started with the story. Is there still any sense of that story? Can you find it?
Yeah, there is a little bit, but it doesn't really feel like I want to engage in it.
Well, so what if that was simply a story that nobody owned? A story about nobody, owned by nobody?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would you believe that you're the only person I've ever met who felt this way?
No.
Exactly. How does that feel for now?
It feels great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Stephen.
Of course. One of my favorite things to do is release on being the doer. Thank you. Who's next? Remember also, if you don't feel like you want to work on a particular topic, you could also suggest a group release, or you could wait until I come up with something, or the apparent I. So here's something we can play with. It's the sense of being connected to a body. So just as best you can, focus on physicality, the feeling of being connected to a body, the feeling of being a physical creature. Notice the sensations of the body that appear in awareness. Notice any thoughts about the body. It feels hungry. It feels tired. It might even feel impatient, might want to stretch. Just notice any thoughts about the body. And now the fun part. Notice any judgments about the body. Too tall, too short, too fat, needs exercise, not strong enough, too old, too young. Notice any judgments that come up about the body, just as best you can. Now, check for any sense of wanting to change any of this, to make the body different, to hold on to youth, to physicality, to the sense of being incarnate, a creature of physicality. Any sense of wanting things to be different, maybe even the desire to transcend the body. And then check for that sense that it's you. I am this flesh. This is me. Notice the story of me and how so closely it connects to that sense of physicality. Starting from birth, childhood, adolescence, maturity, the story of the body, the story of me, how it all connects. But wait. What's here right now? Is any of this actually you? Or is it possible, just maybe, that there is an awareness of sensation, an awareness of thoughts, descriptions, stories, right here, right now? Can you say with 100% certainty that I am that? Or is it possible that all of this simply passes through awareness? And then, what if this were simply love, all of this? So let's just check. Is this love? That's not a question to answer with the mind or with thoughts. Although the mind might try, it's actually an invitation. It points. Is this love? And once again, is this love? And notice what happens to that sense of the body. Of course, you might still feel fingers and toes and hands and noses. But overall, notice how this feels. Notice the effect of love on physicality, such as it is, how the so-called body will respond. Okay. That was fun. So once again, the invitation, if anyone would like to ask something, comment, or receive assistance. Notice,
I've got something, Stephen.
please.
Yeah, okay, so maybe everyone's released all their apparent problems already. So I'm just wondering if you could lead a release in just exploring beingness.
Exploring beingness, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of any specific problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, just exploring beingness.
Of course.
Cool, thank you.
So to begin, just notice what is. And allow all to be as it is. Notice the senses. What can be seen? And if you have your eyes closed, even still, there might be a flickering of light. And hearing the sound of this voice or anything in the background, or even thoughts, a kind of hearing, if you will. Notice the sense of touch, of clothes upon skin, the temperature of the air. Hair. Notice anything that might be appearing as smell, pleasant, unpleasant. Even the smell of one's own body, room. Any taste in the mouth. Isn't all of this what is simply apparently happening? Is any of this you? Or is it possible all of this appears in awareness as thoughts, sensations, perceptions of the senses, memories? Check for any desire for any of this to be different than it apparently is. And if anything comes up, let that be here too. And then, as best you can you simply allow all to be as it is? So let's explore some further. Check and see. Does beingness have dimensions? Is beingness big or small? Does beingness have a smell? Or is it that upon which all smells appear? Does beingness have a story? Or is beingness the paper upon which all stories are written? Does beingness have a body? Or is it beyond that? Does beingness have a sound? Or does it simply contain all sounds? Is it that upon which all sound appears? How does that feel for now?
Good, thank you.
So, would anybody like to ask a question, ask for support, or share a gain? Hello, Michael.
Hi, Stephen. How you doing?
Very good.
Yeah, so I'd like to release on safety, wanting safety generally.
Okay. All right, then. So, check. Can you find a sense of being unsafe?
Yes.
So just for now, could you open yourself to that as best you can and allow it, since it's here anyway, the feeling of being unsafe?
I'm turning the camera off so I'm not so self-conscious. Can
Sure,
you ask me that again, please?
of course. Notice as best you can that sense of being unsafe. And whatever comes up, memories, sensations, thoughts, all of it, just as best you can.
Yes.
Is it possible you'd like to change that?
Yes.
Is that welcome? Could that be, just for now?
Yes.
Notice how that also contains that sense of self, the story of me. Is that welcome?
Hmm. That's interesting. I hadn't. Can you say that again, please?
Certainly. Check and see if there's any sense of the me, the story, the individual fighting for safety against a cruel and hostile world, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to call that a yes. Right. So what if you could trade that for freedom if you could?
Oh,
Would you make the deal?
there was some hesitation there actually. It wasn't a definite yes. It was a ooh.
Okay, then. Is that
There was
welcome?
there was a stepping back there. There was like a ooh.
Sure. Well, let's try again. Would you trade that sense of desiring safety for freedom?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When?
No.
Okay. So let's go back. Was there any memory or incident that kicked up the feeling of feeling unsafe?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I just found out that my neighbor, the neighboring property upstairs has been turned into an Airbnb flat. So that's quite exciting. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. Mhm.
Okay. So let's just take a moment and just allow all of that to come up. So any, excuse me, first the memory of this incident, this experience, and all that it triggered, the feelings, the thoughts.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Right. Does
yeah,
that show up in the body as well?
yeah.
Let's focus on the body for a moment. Could you just allow it to be as, how shall we say, sensational as it is, what's happening in the
Yeah.
body? Yeah.
Mhm.
And focus in even further, zoom into what's happening in the body. And could you zoom in even once more?
Mhm.
Hmm. So what if that was simply sensation? Notice that there's probably going to be a description, story attached to that
Mhm. Mhm.
sensation.
Mhm.
But what if that were not the case? What if that was simply energy passing through the body? Would you be open to that?
I mean, it's a nice idea. I'm not sure if it's true.
Hmm. Doesn't really have to be weighed as true or untrue. It's just enough to be open to that possibility.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And would you give this energy permission to do what it needs to do?
Hmm. I mean,
That was
yeah, that seems quite. It seems, yeah. I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
right. There you go. Right. So energy in the body simply passes through if you allow it to. Have you ever seen a storm that lasted forever?
This is true.
Right. The feelings stick around because we ask them to. We don't want to experience them, so we hold on to them and they stick around and we call them
Hmm.
suffering. So let's just focus once again in the body. Could you just zoom in even further to what's happening there or what appears to be happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
And once again, could you just give this permission to do what it needs to do? And for as long as it needs to, unlimited. If you could, would you?
Give it unlimited permission.
Yeah, just to absolutely do whatever it needs to do.
Not really. No.
Well, in other words, could you open yourself to allowing it just as much as you can? As much as you can is actually enough, just as best you can.
I'm not sure.
That's okay. So, can you open yourself to this being not sure, this unsure sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Notice what that is. Resistance. Can you give that permission to?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Is there the possibility that there might be resistance to allowing resistance? Just maybe? A hesitation?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a question you asked me just a moment ago. It's really landed.
I'm not even sure which question that was at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
but we can keep going.
It
So,
was prior. It was prior to. It was a bit before the resistance. It was something else landed. Yeah.
right. So, just as best you can you open yourself even further to what's happening in the body? Just notice
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And could you give it permission to be that way just for now?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. And I wondered, do you also have a sense of the openness in which all of this is occurring? The space, the emptiness, the fullness, the silence, the stillness.
Yes. A little bit.
Just as best you can, could you rest in that for a moment and allow yourself to be?
Yeah.
Nice.
You know.
So check back in the body. Are things the same? Have they shifted? Are they shifting?
You're. Yeah. It's just. Yeah. The same. Releasing. I would say.
Mm-hmm. So is it possible that what's happening in the body is also love?
I have no idea. I can possibly answer that.
Well, so you wouldn't feel that way if you didn't care, would you?
Yeah. 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 Mm.
Sometimes love shows up wearing a mask. Is it possible, just maybe, since you do care, somehow that's an expression of love too?
Okay. This is a
Right.
possibility. Mm-hmm.
Sure. That's all it takes is just an openness to that possibility. So can you welcome love even further?
Mm.
So it doesn't require the mind at all. The mind might kick in wanting to help,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is fine. So could you love the mind as well for trying to help?
Yes.
Right. Right. So what's here now?
I'm interested in the idea of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so Lester had an exercise called Squaring All with Love. Have you heard of that one?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Yeah. And
I'm
for
not. I'm
anybody,
not so familiar with it, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
sure. Well, so for anybody who isn't familiar, it's the idea, or actually it's the lived experience, I could say, speaking from my own experience. Absolutely any feeling can simply appear as love if you invite it to do so. That may sound odd, but it's something that you can explore. And that's exactly what we were doing. So let's continue. Notice what's happening in the body, what still may remain a sensation.
Mhm.
And check, is it possible? Could this be love? And just,
No, it feels the opposite of it, actually. It feels
okay.
this sense of strain, etc. It feels,
Mm-hmm. So notice the no and let that be okay.
Mhm.
But again, is it possible that even that no is an expression of love?
Yes, that's a possibility.
Yeah. So notice what happens as you invite it to be what it truly is. Could that be love?
Yes.
Right. So could you welcome love and just let that be for a moment?
Yeah.
And then anything which might appear as sensation in the body, could that be welcome too?
Yes.
So can you welcome the sensations and welcome love at the same time?
I'm not sure.
Well, again, that's the mind checking. And of course, could you love the mind for stepping in to help? The mind won't
So,
understand these things, but we appreciate the effort, don't we?
yes. So this,
Yeah,
there's an awareness of the sensations.
sure. Yes, exactly. Check. Can you notice any boundary between those sensations and love? Can you find where love begins and the sensations end, where the sensations end and love begins?
Well, I can't find the love. That's the problem.
Notice that love simply is. Is that possible?
Well, I mean, it may be possible, but it doesn't really mean that much, to be honest.
Ah, but it wouldn't mean much to the mind. That's just the mind stepping in again. So could you love the mind for doing what the mind does?
Yes.
The mind will never understand love, and that's perfectly okay. It's just not part of what the mind understands.
Okay.
Yeah. But notice love. It's there already. But the mind won't help you. The mind won't help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we just go back to welcoming and loving the mind as it is, because it's doing its best.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. We so often think of the mind, or many people talk about the mind or the ego as the enemy. No, 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 no. That's so destructive. The mind does all it can to help. And so, just as best you can you love the mind for doing what it does?
Mm-hmm. Of course. Yes.
Good. Good. So let's just check what's here now.
Sensations and I think some thoughts.
Exactly. So is it okay just to allow all to be as it is, just for now?
Not really. No, there's There's a wanting love now that's been,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, so notice that, and just as best you can, is that welcome as well?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the wanting, it's the having. Yeah.
Right. So can you let go of wanting and have? If you could make that
Yes.
deal, is that something
Yes.
you'd consider?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right then.
Yes.
When?
Yeah.
Now. Okay.
Mhm.
So just allow that to be as it is for a moment longer. And let's check back in the body. Again, are things the same? Have they shifted? Are they shifting?
Yes. This is true.
Okay. So in this moment, right here, right now, is there safety?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think the laughter speaks louder than the words.
Yes, yes, yes. Whew.
Laughter was the real release, the real reaction, and the mind stepped in
Yeah.
to say maybe because the mind is never going to get this. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how is that for now, Michael?
That was hold on a second, just put the camera back on.
Sure.
That was very useful indeed, very insightful.
Nice.
Really, very much so actually. A little bit of an aha moment. Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
Excellent. Thanks for stepping in and asking. Kim, I see your hand. I could even say your
Yeah.
hand is seen.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I wanted to say thank you very much for these releases. And I'm on my way to a meeting. Sometimes we meet on the mountain, and the release you did for Tegan was super helpful in being
Nice.
in action as I was getting ready. So thank you. And I know we're at the end of the
You
hour,
look like
but
you're
I wanted to. Yes, I'm chairlift.
we're flexible.
Yeah, I know you are. Thank you so much. I at the top, but I wanted to make a request, know especially knowing how much you love working with others. So on Sunday, Joel and I are doing.
Can you repeat that? That was a little garbled. Could you repeat what you said? It didn't come through clearly. Thank you.
Okay, how much you love working from the heart, and Joel and I are doing a workshop here on Sunday for a community, and we have found out it's really timely. It's called Peace and Passion, and we live in a community where people really live their passion, especially in adventure. And with that, not often, but can come great loss and a lot of everything that comes with loss when things unexpectedly happen on adventurous or within a person who loves to live passionately and feels like they can't anymore. So my request would be a release on wanting to live and wanting to die, funneling into love.
Okay.
And just living and facilitating from the heart.
Of course. Of course.
That would be really wonderful. And then I can listen to the recording and I'll share that with Joel as well, if he's not here. And I'll go off camera, but I'll be listening, and just a lot of gratitude for the support.
Okay then. All right. Well, let's do it. Okay.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Of course, Kim. Okay. So This is a group release, so just take a moment to center yourself. Allow all to be as it is, as best you can. And then check and see if you can notice that desire to live, that sense of wanting survival, safety, security. Just as best you can, allow that to be here, something which every organism experiences, this desire to survive in physicality. Allow it to be here as strongly as it wishes to express in this moment. Notice any memories, stories, any thoughts. Could be worries, could be scenarios of disaster, concerns, threats. The world can be a scary place, and the news is never happy. Just allow this to be here. Notice also any reaction in the body, any sensations that appear regarding safety, survival, security. Any sense of panic, any sense of clenching, fear, any nervous energy. Notice how the body reacts in sensation in response to the sense of threat. Every creature that experiences physicality knows these feelings of threat, this desire for survival. So just as best you can, allow it to be here even just a bit longer. Give it permission, not forever, just for now. And notice the resistance to feeling this. How much you want this to be different, not to feel this. And give that permission as well, this natural reaction of resistance, resisting the feeling of threat, the inevitability of physical destruction. Notice the resistance to that. And honor that. And notice what emerges from this conflict, the feeling of threat, not wanting to be threatened. Notice how this creates that sense of self, the individual fighting against a cruel and threatening world, the story of me. And let that be here, just for now, that sense of me, the threatened individual, the physical creature that could be crushed by cruel fate at any moment. Let that be here just for now. Then, this might seem a stretch, but just as best you can, check and see, is it possible that these are simply thoughts and sensations? Is this you, or are you aware? Is there awareness of sensation, of thought, of memory, of perception? Just as best you can you allow yourself to rest as awareness and simply be? And be. And be. And then check. Does beingness even understand threat? Does beingness struggle for survival? Or is it possible that beingness just is as it is, always, without threat, without struggle? So just as best you can, allow yourself to be, just for now. And then we're going to switch gears. Think again of the world and all of the many threats, all of the horrible news, the war in Ukraine, the banking crisis, the conflicts in politics, and it doesn't matter where you live. We could be talking about America, we could be talking about Korea, we could be talking about any country in the world. The conflicts, the threats to survival and safety and security. Life is like that. The roof could collapse, and there you go, done. It happens each and every day. So check for any sense of just wanting to give up the fight. Sometimes it feels like it's just too much. And every organism that lives will also experience this hopelessness, senselessness, the feeling of just, why bother? Too much effort. Life seems like an endless struggle of survival. You have to go out and earn the money. You have to win success. You have to push. And then the body. There's always something. Illness, injury, age. Notice that feeling of endless struggle, which is what it means to be physical and incarnate. And then check for that desire to just let go and let it all be done. And just as best you can you open yourself to that sense of just giving up, just letting go, just allowing death to end it, which it will anyway, sooner or later. Can you allow yourself to feel that sense of giving up just for now, as best you can? All the thoughts, sensations, stories, beliefs, and allow it to be as intense as it may seem to be, just for now. And notice how much you don't want to feel this. Notice any resistance to that, any sense of no. Let that be here, the resistance. Resistance to dying, to giving up, to the struggle, but also to ending the struggle. Can resistance simply be honored and allowed and permitted? Because it's here anyway, isn't it? So this is the opposite side of that first coin. Notice the struggle between wanting to give up and wanting to remain. And how that also creates that sense of self, the individual, struggling with physicality, struggling with life versus death. And since that's here, could you simply allow that? Let that be okay just for now. Not forever, but just for now. And then can you notice the openness, the emptiness, and the space in which all of this plays out, upon which all of this appears? Can you notice beingness? And just as best you can you rest as that? Allow yourself to be. And be. And be. And once again, let's see. Is there ever a time or a place where beingness is not? Does beingness want to die? Does beingness even acknowledge death or life? Or does beingness simply be? So, it feels complete. And this call is meant to last from an hour to an hour and a half. It's really up to you whether there's anything left to say or do or ask. And so I'll just give everyone one last chance. Speak up or raise your hand.
Thank you, Stephen. Just wanted to say it was good and appreciate you, leading the calls and leading the release. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, great. One more appeal. Going once. Going twice. Okay. So that's the end of the call. I'm going to end the recording. It will be available online. I'll let you know as usual. And I'm now going to stop recording. So just a second here. Nope. Just a second. There we go.